Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And it's Sunday, fun day time. Have a little chat with all of my fellow climate viewers. Hope that you guys will dive in here. The number is on the screen. And I'm going to kind of hop into some new things. So many of you probably heard about Starlink and Elon Musk and basically how Starlink's helping Ukraine and how the Russian government is attacking it with EMF and all sorts of things. And interestingly enough, how the Pentagon went on to say that basically Elon Musk and Starlink was able to defeat Russian microwave disruption faster than the Pentagon could even respond. What's up, Marky? And I think that is telling because government can never do a job as well as a private company. But you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up real quick, because right now there's a lot going on. Let me get this up on the screen real quick. So as you can see, we'll bring this up big. Elon Musk says Russia has stepped up efforts to jam SpaceX Starlink in Ukraine. Russia led a massive cyber attack in Ukraine. Elon Musk says Starlink fighting back. But at the end of the day, the interesting part about it is that, you know, they basically, you know, they're doing a better job than our own military can on this sort of thing. And I find that kind of hilarious in reality. I had a really good link and I completely forgot to send it over to myself. What's up, Paris? How's it going? And we're gonna have a whole lot of talk about this in the near future. I had actually sent this to a good friend of mine. Quite frankly, if you guys haven't checked out Quite Frankly, I suggest you do on YouTube. And I forgot to send this to myself, oddly enough. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna send it to myself real fast. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and call in, feel free to call in. Numbers on the screen. If you got any questions, ask me anything. That's the whole idea of this Sunday show. So just jump right in there. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. I promise. Let's see if I actually got that. Why am I not getting that on my computer? Oh, because my phone's on airplane mode and I'm a derp. This is one of the beauties of having way too many phone calls constantly from robots. And there's the link. All right, so let's bring this up real quick. All right, here we go. This is from Outlook India. Explained how Starlink of Elon Musk prevented Russian electromagnetic attack in Ukraine. Top Pentagon officials said U.S. needs to improvise its own electronic warfare rapid response, considering the increasing probability of deployment of electromagnetic warfare in modern wars. The U.S. Pentagon officials on Wednesday explained how promptly Starlink, the satellite-based internet division of Elon Musk-owned SpaceX, prevented a Russian electromagnetic attack in Ukraine last month. Dave Tremper, the director of electromagnetic warfare for the Office of the Secretary of Defense, delineated how SpaceX's impeccably impeccable ability last month foiled the Russian endeavor to jam Starlink satellite broadband service in a bid to destroy Ukraine's internet connectivity. Responding to Ukrainian Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov's request, Elon Musk last month provided thousands of internet terminals the size of an antenna to Ukraine so the country may stay connected to the internet. Quick note on that. For all the people saying, support Ukraine and, oh, why don't you support Ukraine? Hate on Elon Musk all you like. He literally is supporting Ukraine by, giving them internet connection to the satellite so that they can, keep this going, keep this fight up. Let me know in the comments. Am I wrong? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Physically providing the tools necessary to win a war against a major superpower, as opposed to just tweeting about it. I'll take that and some some missiles any day over a whole lot of talk and BS on social media. These antenna-like terminals catch the internet being beamed to Earth by Musk's constellation of satellites in space, thus bypassing the ground-based conventional internet infrastructure. The Russian attacks began the next day. Tremper said the next day, Starlink had slung a line of code and fixed it, and suddenly that Russian jamming attack was not effective anymore. From the electronic warfare technologist perspective, that is fantastic, and how they did it was eye-watering to me. Musk said on March 25th, the Starlink had at that point resisted all hacking and jamming attempts, which is freaking amazing. That, in today's cyber world, the war is electronic by definition. And your ability to respond in real time to these sorts of attacks is extremely important. While applauding Starlink for countering the electromagnetic warfare faster than the U.S. military, Tremper also mentioned that the U.S. needed to improvise its own EW rapid response, considering the increasing probability of the deployment of electromagnetic weapons in modern wars. Brigadier General Tad Clark, director of the U.S. Air Force Electromagnetic Spectrum Superiority, emphasized on the fact that new and modified systems to fight off electromagnetic warfare are needed of the hour for U.S. in order to retaliate in a, quote, quick, lethal, and resilient manner. Brigadier General Tad Clark, director, said at a conference that the U.S. needed to build new systems for electromagnetic warfare that had more resilience and speed. They literally have the same paragraph twice. I knew it. I knew something was up. What's up with that? L2 edit. God, here comes. You're doing it right whenever the F bots show up. So let me go ahead and handle the F bots because they're here. Hello, porn bots. Thank you for showing up for my live stream. I really appreciate it. So how about you F off permanently? And a report, yeah, pornhead, and go away. Shiblang. All right. Until the next porn bot shows up. Anyway, so back to that thing. Where were we? Tripper added that the U.S. had a significant timeline to make those types of corrections, and there's a really interesting case study to look at the agility that Starlink had in their ability to address the problem. We needed to be able to have that agility. According to the top Pentagon official, the modern day war arsenal should also include artificial intelligence and machine learning to ensure quicker response. Increased use of digital engineering and software coding can also appears to highly instrumental in equipping the country's defense repertoire. This is from Outlook India, and I swear this is just bad translation. Ukraine has that I'm not just like speaking like I have, an impediment or something. We were talking about, the lasers in space, laser blinding. So yeah, why don't I bring that up real quick? Let's see real quick. ClimateViewer.com/harp. And what people don't realize is there's a whole lot going on up in space right now, and that basically most people don't know anything about this sort. Oh Jesus, I'm on this page, so let me go here. Right here. That ionospheric heaters, space weather control, and geophysical warfare. And I've got this PowerPoint presentation on, basically what's going on up there. So let's see if we could just bring up the notes. They're not even labeled, so just have to flip through this real quickly. No, it's back. It's back. It's in here. Too many things. All the things. And our full screen. We'll flip back through them. Okay, so in space warfare, currently we have a couple different problems. So the Russians have, right here they have Cosmos 2499, also known as a kamikaze satellite. But this is a satellite that literally is pretending to be a communications or TV satellite, but it's actually a bomb. Okay? So during a World War III scenario, this satellite would go and fly into a United States milsat, military satellite for communications and blow it up. This would disrupt our ability to, communicate with land and air forces. And if you're deaf, dumb, and blind, you can't actually, continue a war. You have to have that communication. It's increasingly space-based. They also have the Chinese have the Xi'an satellite that apparently is a hijacker satellite. Now, this is similar to the armature you'd see on the space shuttle, where the arm reaches out and grabs the satellite and then holds onto it, pulls it in close, and then the astronauts work on the satellite. These satellites would actually go out and grab a military satellite and either pull it in and attach chips to it so they could monitor and or disrupt communications, or they could literally just grab the satellite and throw it out of orbit so that it re-enters the atmosphere and burns up, or just flies off into space. And then finally, you have laser blinding of satellites. The idea that you have reconnaissance, spy satellites. China has been accused of this multiple times over the years. How the Chinese tried to blind U.S. satellites. High-powered lasers used to fire through the dense lower atmosphere and reach fast-moving satellites. Lasers can blind electro-optical satellites and even interfere with radar satellites. So they're actually firing laser beams at it. So in this case with Starlink, it's a little tougher because the idea that here, and I'll drop this in chat for you guys. And there you go. The idea is pretty simple that, the old way of doing things, it's not very efficient. The satellites that we have up there aren't very effective because they're fat, they're old, and they're geostationary. Whereas Starlink is considered more of a, They're CubeSats, they're tiny little satellites, and they're in a huge array. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to ClimateViewer 3D, and I'm going to click on Earth Monitor. It's right here on the sidebar. You guys can see it right here, Earth Monitor External Maps. And you can actually see a lot of these. So I can go to Satellite Tracking, which is right here, and you can see stuff in space. Comms box down. I need to update that. I think the ESRI actually has all the Starlink stuff here. But these are all the satellites in space, and most people don't realize how many they are. There are so as you can see, there are thousands and thousands of satellites. These ones that are in close, this ring you see right here, this is called low Earth orbit. And this ring that you see out here along the edge, this is geostationary orbit. I don't want your cookies. I don't want any of them. Always active. Performance cookies, no. Functional cookies, no. And targeted, no. Okay, confirm my choice to go away. So you can see right here, these are the geostationary ones all the way out here on this edge. And you can see because they basically stay in the same spot. As the Earth turns, they stay directly over this point. And they're always looking at this spot. Whereas the low Earth orbit ones, you can see that they're constantly in motion. You can see as like if you click on them right now, it's moving. And it's updated in real time. So a Starlink satellite would be like that you would actually see them in real time moving around, and they're hard. That makes them harder to hit. They're harder targets to hit. Let me check this other one because I believe they actually have Starlink actually listed. Groups, SpaceX. Oh, there's a couple of them. Oh, these are Falcon debris. Falcon rocket debris. Not the same. Let me see if they have Starlink. Yep, there they are. There are thousands of these up here, but it's not gonna let me just show them all apparently. Clear the groups, Starlink, enter. Now go away. Just make it happen. Not cool. Not cool. Try open Windows, see if it actually works. No, no. Too many things. We'll never find it. Red are dead, blue are alive. But you can see lots of space junk, lots of things to shoot laser beams at. But basically over Ukraine right now, from Russia, which is next door, they're shooting all kinds of I know traffic cams in low Earth orbit. Actually, that's an interesting point you bring up. There actually are a lot of cameras that are owned by corporate entities. So everybody always thinks when they think spy satellites that it's mainly better than sharks with laser beams. No, I'll take shark with the laser beam. If anybody can make that happen, 25 Trip Drive, Sumter, South Carolina, 29153. I would like a shark with a laser beam. Doesn't have to be a real one, be a model one. Bigger the better. Working laser, epic. But I'll take, just a toy. But I need a shark with a laser beam. I've always wanted one. I just haven't ever looked for one. Totally got me. So corporations have these spy satellites to actually do things like give an example, Walmart. Okay, so there are companies out there that literally and then a Starlink satellite just popped up on my thing. Right there's a Starlink satellite over Ukraine right now. Tiny little guy. He did, little guy. Interesting. So that's low Earth orbit. Big difference. And moving much quicker, therefore harder to hit. And as you can see, it's moving along right now. Comes another one just zipping by. Meteor. Anyway. Um, so companies that speculate on, the stock market, they have satellites in space to monitor the parking lots of Walmart. Okay. So what they'll do is they'll gather data on how full a parking lot at Walmart is every single day for the entire quarter, and then estimate what their profits are going to be based on how many cars were in the parking lot. Look it up. This is real. Um, so when you're talking about all these satellites and spy satellites, it's not limited to anybody called, nobody called. Just making sure. Hello, ClimateViewer. Um, that you know, there's a lot of possibility that you're not just being spied on by the military. Russia, China, America, Japan's got satellites, India's got satellites, military wise, but there are many, many corporate satellite providers out there that are using this for stock market speculation. There are companies that sell live video feeds of satellite from space. I would love to be able to get that for emergency response kinds of things. Um, but I'm reading chat, but it's expensive. But it would be really cool to have that available on ClimateViewer 3D, so that when we have some extreme weather, tornado damage, that you could in real time bring that up and have live video. And this is an inevitability as the internet progresses, things get cheaper. There will be more probability that everything the military has will end up being free to use for us, and we will have constant real-time surveillance of every single inch of the earth. Now, of course, that brings up some creepy probabilities for the future, but it also means that there will be more incentive for people to come out with ASAT systems or anti-satellite systems. And I think that this is a concern. Clearly Elon Musk trying to provide internet terminals for people fighting back against Russia. Good thing. Somebody needs to provide them with the technology. Big ups to Elon for doing that. Even bigger, is the fact that he was able to basically shut down the Russian military in a matter of minutes. That his programmers were able to see the problem, change the frequencies, do whatever they needed to do, whatever line of code that they were exploiting, update that injection in real time. Better, faster than the United States military, who's been doing this forever. So I think that that's pretty interesting, to say the least. And that's the wave of the future. Hackers in space, it's a thing. Kamikaze satellites, hijacker satellites, all these sorts of things. We'll probably need to break this down in a video, get into some of the details of all of these anti-satellite systems, some of these space-based weapon systems like the Rod of God, high-powered microwave transmissions, laser systems in space, drones in space. There's a lot going on there. Now, of course, your average flat earther will say none of this is true, because space does not exist. Or your hardcore religious people will say, but the firmament, and I'll go, but the satellites are there. They're still there. So, you know, you can believe in God and still believe in satellites. And you can, I guess, believe the earth is flat and still believe that there are satellites, but try convincing them of that's the truth, to say the least. Um, but at the end of the day, um, okay. Look at the chat. I mean, research it, you know, do your research, as they say. I don't have it all figured out. I'm constantly learning new things. But I found this one. Um, uh, give the flat earthers a break. I mean, they've got it hard enough. I mean, can you imagine the dinner table talks they have and the eye rolling? Whew, must be tough. It's a tough life being a flat earther these days. Back before the Facebook algorithm made it even possible for a whole lot of flat earthers to, you know, become a thing. Um, it's just it's horrible stuff. That being said, I hope that you guys checked out the videos this week. You know, I did keep my schedule this week. I'm very proud. It's been a minute since, you know, I've been able to keep up with my schedule. But despite working on you know, my studio, I was able to, you know, get my weekly you know, video schedule in there, and just gonna quickly go over that real quick. So on Tuesdays, Tuesday is Tuesday News Day. The Great Barrier Reef that, you know, uh, basically I'm doing weather modification and geoengineering weather, you know, news. So Tuesday News Day. At some point during the day, um, once I have a studio, hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to schedule these in advance. So I'll literally be able to put up the video for Tuesday, Thursday, and the live chat on Sunday and have them scheduled in advance and then connect to that event through Streamlabs. And that way you can already have the link before the show starts. You know when the show is going to start, and you can mark it on your calendar or whatever. Um, you know, hopefully, you know, some of you, you know, because I get a lot of comments. I missed the show. I really wanted to, you know, be part of the live show. I would have called in. I want to be able to schedule those in advance. But regardless, on Tuesday, geoengineering and weather modification news, May 10th, 2022. I put a ton of links into this one. If you go to the details, you can see all the links here. And there were a bunch of them. I mean, a bunch. This was just from the last week. So I don't know of anybody else on YouTube or anywhere on the internet that's going to get you, you know, basically all of the important major weather modification news and geoengineering news that's going on and provide you the links. So this is your one-stop shop on Tuesdays. Tune in for that. And on Throwback Thursdays, talking about something from history. And I had a great video, something I've been looking forward to doing for quite a while, how Batman controls the weather. This was on Thursday, Throwback Thursday. I'm going to do something from history. So weathermodificationhistory.com. You'll be able to tune into that. And this was about basically a rancher named Batman who controlled the weather. And you really can't, it's just always priceless. Stranger than fiction. Wait, why I got no sounds? Where's my sounds at? Oh, that would be why. And there. Wait, son of a bitch. Hmm. And then there's no audio in the thing. This thing hates me. It just hates me. Why do I have no sound in my Streamlabs when I play the thing? It's not there. It's not there. Yeah, I'm looking at it, not working, going, I hate you. You know that? I hate you. It forgets my settings like every time I restart my computer. It's just absolutely stupid. So let me back this up.
His crops.
All right, there we go.
Hill mentioned the late Ray Batman, a rancher at Grain Valley, Missouri. Ray Batman. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The truth is always stranger than fiction. Batman was a man of firm views and fat wallet. He contributed to political campaigns and thus could expound his views to tolerant ears. One spring, it was so wet that Batman couldn't plant his crops. He got U.S. Senator Stuart Symington on the phone. He told Symington various international interests were tinkering with the weather. Certainly, the national government was aware of this, and would Symington arrange for the rain to let up so Batman could get his crops in? Symington listened and said, well, he hoped the weather would clear up. The rain stopped the next day. The trouble was, it stayed stopped. By midsummer, there was a near drought. Batman called Symington and complained. It took longer this time, but 2 or 3 days later, Batman's crops received moisture. Nobody could tell him there wasn't a higher power in Washington, D.C.
That's just priceless. 1979. I mean, it's already crazy enough that there actually was a real life person named Ray Batman. And to the Batman family out there, I hope that he had, some kids and some boys and the name kept up, because I would love to see the Batman family tree. That's got to be some funny stuff. So let me know if you know anybody named Batman. I would love to hear about that. But yeah, check that out. That was the video for Thursday, and I started out with a poem called "Ode to Pluviculture" about how they wanted to make it rain, and basically the guy fired up the rain machine and killed himself. And that poem was from 1891. So Throwback Thursday, going to be some history. Bring you back to the past, show you how it relates to the present, and then Tuesday Newsday. I have several ways to capture all of the different news sources, using Google Alerts among other things, to plus everything that's sent in. If you have news tips, if you see something new that's come out, if you want me to talk about it, send it to jim@climateviewer.com. You can come over to connect.climateviewer.com, and at the bottom of the page is my phone number and my email address. If you do call me, which this number is live right now, it is connected to my cell phone, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I do not answer my cell phone. I get called by robots all day, every day. I get called by people all over the world, and therefore I use Google Voice to kind of filter through who actually calls me. And unless you leave me a message, you will not probably get a call. So just remember, leave me a message. I do, make time to call back everybody who leaves me a message. But the best way to get in touch with me is on my email address, jim@climateviewer.com. Send me your news tips. I'll put them in on Tuesday for the Tuesday News Day. I greatly appreciate everybody who sends in stuff because I'm always finding new things. In fact, I'll just show you real quick. Right here, I have this my NERBS category, and these are all links that have been sent in, from other people. And I mean, there's probably 14,000 links of just stuff that I've covered recently. And then, literally folders full of stuff that are in here as well. So it's not just, links you're seeing, it's way, way, way more. And then I have other categories as well for different topics. But yeah, I collect every, one of these links that people send in. I go and I read them. And, if it's off topic, it's not, weather modification, geoengineering, I'm probably going to talk about it on Sunday. In the future, when I finish my studio, hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be able to just, crank out a video that's specific to that topic. And, break down the details, give my opinion, and you can take it with a grain of salt, but then you could do your research. Trump is the real bad man. I've never seen his utility belt though. And if he were the real Batman, I highly doubt that he would have, signed this legislation that basically made it to where they can hide. It's called FASAB Statement 56. Now, I've always been, somewhat supportive of Slim Shady and Dr. Dre. How do we get there? Oh, boy, chat, you guys are all over the place. But this is an interesting one you may not have heard about. But FASAB Statement 56, Understanding New Government Financial Accounting Loopholes. And this is from the Solari report, Catherine Austin Fitz. And it goes into how in the National Defense Authorization Act, they, cooked into the books ways to hide, information from, you basically can't find out how people are actually, funding things, that it's hidden away now. And I think this was the actual document where I saw this. Let me see if I can find this because this is super creepy. But yeah, Trump signed this into law, and I'm not really cool with it because I like transparency, and this is the opposite of that. Yeah, I'm gonna have trouble finding it while I'm here because it's so long. All of these government reports are so long. It's painful to read. I mean, just absolutely painful. I mean, unless you're a super nerd. All right, here we go. No, that's not it. Because they start talking about, counter, espionage and all that, and how they could basically fund all of these, disinformation, espionage, and all of that sort of stuff off the books, to where nobody would ever actually be able to read it. And that might not even be the actual link. Book 56. Oh, there's multiple handbooks. So yeah, this would be tougher to find. This has got to be it right here. Is that it? 56. Yes. All right. So, classified national security information, top secret, secret, and confidential. And they go on to talk about, what basically they could fund for top secret purposes without ever. Executive Order 13526, Section 1.4 authorized classification of information regarding the following types: military plans, weapon systems operations, foreign government information, intelligence activities, including covert actions, intelligence sources and methods, or cryptology, foreign relations or foreign activities in the United States. Excuse me. I cut grass yesterday. It's all in my lungs, even though I wore my mask. Um, Foreign relations or foreign activities of the United States, including confidential sources, scientific, technological, or economic matters relating to national security. That's totally geoengineering. Totally geoengineering. There's no doubt about it. That's a possibility. United States government programs for safeguarding nuclear materials or facilities, vulnerabilities or capabilities of systems, installations, infrastructure, project plans, or protection services relating to national security or the development, production, or use of weapons of mass destruction. So let me get this straight. We go to Iraq, and kill Saddam Hussein because of weapons of mass destruction. But Trump, signs FASAB 56, which basically allows the government to withhold from the public any funding of the development, production, or use of weapons of mass destruction. I don't know about you, but that's creepy as hell. Our government is in dire need of a good ass kicking from the inside, and so a reformation of sorts, because the military, industrial complex runs the thing. All of the major corporations, they're first with their hands out and say, give me all of, the tax money that you collected from these people, and we're going to do whatever we want to with it. And by the way, it can now be classified, and there's no accounting of that money whatsoever. So I think all of these are problems. That's why I talk about pollution, privacy, and propaganda in whole, because if I'm talking about pollution, not climate change, not global warming, pollution, whether that pollution be plastic in the ocean, the pollution from chemicals seeping into your water source, all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, what we're really talking about here is that they don't want you talking about that. And narratives are important. So narrative networks, propaganda, mind control, psychological operations, whatever you want to call it. That if you talk about things that are on the no-no list, and we now have a disinformation board at the Department of Homeland Security, so I'm sure that no-no list is going to grow exponentially. If you talk about things they do not want, they being the government, they being the major corporations, the lobbyists, defense contractors, all of these, all the things, foreign governments for that matter, have more control over what gets voted on, what gets paid for in America than you or I ever will. If you talk about things on the no-no list, they will violate your privacy. They will hack you. They will, dox you. They will do everything with all the tools that you paid for, to destroy your life, and they will make up propaganda about you. First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you, conspiracy theorist. Then they attack you, invade your privacy, hack your computers, make up propaganda about you, try to destroy your reputation. And then you win. First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they attack you. Then you win. So I hope that everybody's in it for the long haul, because those 4 steps, I've been through the first 3. So hopefully the winning part's going to come up soon. And you guys are all a part of that. I said launch code and I lost the internet. That's about right. That's about right. Oh my god. Looking at chat. Uh launch codes? Kaboom. Shut them down. Yeah, my father was a nuclear missile launch technician. He literally did that, 45 years ago because I'm 45. And he still to this day can never leave the country as a result of that. Like any of those codes are any good, or Minuteman 3 missiles or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Classified forever. Which is why I always go back to people talking about the chemtrail conspiracy. It's like, if the government was funding geoengineering, chemtrails, whatever, you're not going to find out about it for the next 50 years till everybody who was involved in that program is dead or retired and just doesn't give a damn anymore. It will not be made public. And you can look at the zinc cadmium sulfide experiments of the U.S. Army Chemical Corps in the 1950s, which was part of the Manhattan Project. It's called the Manhattan Rochester Coalition. That they were spraying radioactive dust all over America, and it didn't come out till like 2010. And they were doing it in the 50s. And that's my number one example to people who say, well, chemtrail conspiracy not real. And I say, well, this happened in the past and it took 60 years for them to finally admit it. And the same would be true today. So what I expect most people would be is pragmatic. So you have to go and work on what you know and act on that. What you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. What we can prove is that chemicals coming out of planes are changing the weather, are geoengineering the planet, and I can attribute all of those chemicals in a court of law to jet fuel. So that's why I stick with the facts and use that. That's why I went to the EPA in 2010 at an EPA hearing. It's broadcast on C-SPAN, and I said just the facts. Because to say anything else, you could be written off as a conspiracy theorist, as a nutcase. You're just crazy. So instead of speculating, which so many YouTube channels do, I will tell you when I am speculating. I will tell you when I am guessing. And I will also tell you that I am not right on everything. I expect you to keep me honest. Keep me informed. I'm always up for learning new things. I hope that you are as well. We should constantly be students for the rest of our lives. So that I hope that you guys will do your research. And when you learn something new, send it my way. Send it jim@climateviewer.com. A question about why he's holding out hope for Musk. Musk knows that what the Bumble Hive is. He knows he can't give us free speech. And if you got time, very quickly, give me a call, and we could talk about that. You up for it? Let me know right now in chat, because I will gladly talk about Bumble Hive at the Utah Data Center and how I still am hopeful. I mean, at the end of the day, the NSA is going to continue to record everything going on the planet simultaneously at Bumble Hive in Utah Data Center. But that doesn't change whether or not, somebody is going to be able to make Twitter more open, more honest. All right. It'd be good to hear your voice, Dragon Lady. That being said, I had a lengthy conversation with another individual about specifically that, and they sent me this video from InfoWars of all places, and it was on Elon Musk, which
Hey, everybody.
let me bring this up real quick. Um, actually over here, and it's Jason Burmas from Infowars. Elon Musk, the NWO puppet, exposed on Infowars. This is like 38 minutes long. Um, and I listened to it with an open mind. Um, how effective are VPNs in protecting against collection of data? Um, hey, is this Ann?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, what's up?
You.
Want to fight about it?
Yeah, I'm into that too.
Okay.
So yeah, you know Musk knows about the Bumble Hive
Yeah.
and what they do, and he knows he can't. Sooner or later, like okay, all of the people who have been canceled, the things they said in the past, they had free speech at that time, and and now they're paying the price for what they said back then. So Musk comes out and he says, okay, I want everybody to have free speech, and that's great. But if they're saving everything we say, we don't have free speech because they will use it on us.
Well,
That's how I feel.
so I think that this is really more of a conversation about, what free speech is, because we do have freedom of speech, but you're also, with free speech comes responsibility. So if I walk up to Mike Tyson and I look at him, I say, Mike, use a bitch.
No.
I have the right to say that. But I don't know if you saw the video, but there was a guy on an airline who did just that. And turns out that Mike Tyson had no problem turning around and knocking him the F out.
Yeah, I saw it.
So free speech does come with responsibility. And of course, the government is going to. I think you got the YouTube playing in the background. If you could just mute the audio.
I turned it down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I turned it down.
Okay.
Something happening?
No, yeah, I could hear myself. So if you just hit the mute button, you can keep playing it. Just if you just hit the mute button, it'll make that go away.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my speakers off, but let me kill the volume. Okay. Maybe.
Okay. So at the end of the day, like the thought that the government would be recording all this stuff, and I'll bring this up for chat what she's talking about Bumble Hive, because maybe some of you don't know what Bumble Hive is. But over here you can see the Five Eyes spy map that I have, and this is Bumble Hive, which is in Utah. It's called the Utah Data Center, or the Community Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative data center, and it's a huge building. I mean, absolutely huge. These are cars. These little tiny things are cars, and these are massive data centers that record everything from this conversation we're having right now to every text you've ever sent, every phone call you've ever made. All of Hillary Clinton's deleted emails are there. You name it, it's there. And you can actually
every XXX video you've ever watched.
Yeah,
everything
that's called
done, and everything your kids are doing.
That's called sex int, actually. So sexual intelligence. They know what kind of porn you like, and especially like for foreign dignitaries, or Eric Swalwell for that matter. They probably knew what kind of porn Eric Swalwell was into when they sent the Chinese Fang Fang over to do him rotten, and he's still in the intelligence committee. But anyway, don't get me started on that. So this is the Utah data center. It uses so much water that the city that they're in, which is it's Clinton. It must be Clinton, Utah. I'm looking at the map right now. I'm just making a guess here. But it's between Clinton, Saratoga Springs, and Riverton. uses so much water that the city was literally talking about cutting off their water because they refuse to pay for it. And you're already strapped for water out in the West as it is. But yeah, I recognize that Elon's got to know that that's there. But at the end of the
Oh,
day,
you know he knows. Yeah.
what would that actually change as far as Twitter goes? I mean,
Well, I don't think it's going to change anything about Twitter. I'm just my concern. My concern is just that people are aware of Bumblehive and that they are being every single thing that you say, do, read, watch, click on is collected. And when the day comes that they use it, you can say, I had free speech, but we can see that that has not mattered to people. So I
well,
just feel like it's a trap. That's all.
yeah, and I kind of I see your point, and the thing is that um, free speech is not worth as much today as paid speech. That's the main point I would take away from this. So, um, lobbyists, corporate lobbyists have paid speech. Okay, they're able to influence actual policy, change laws, change the world, in an instant in some case, um, because they're able to, pad the wallets of the people in the swamp up in Washington D.C. So your free speech is not worth as much as paid speech to these people. So until there's actually, like a groundswell of people, till there's an overwhelming amount of free speech that has an ideology that's pushing in a certain direction, that's when you'll see all the mainstream, lamestream legacy media outlets coming out with their propaganda. Back to the three P's, the pollution, privacy, propaganda. If you're polluting people's minds with crazy ideas that the government's X, Y, or Z, or that Monsanto is bad, then that's when you're going to start to see all of the propaganda come out. But at the end of the day, if there's enough of us, like if every who in Whoville, if all of the ants rise up against the grasshoppers, um, then free speech will matter. It's in and I abhor anybody who wants to try to put me in a box because I will never be put in your box. Like I hate checking boxes. Lately I've been telling people because it's so not cool to be a straight white male anymore. I am Indian, Native American, Choctaw, and Pawnee. So I've been checking the Native American box on every government form that I think just to piss them off. YouTube asked me in a diversity thing the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I'm Native American. Will you actually boost my videos?" I pretty should have put on there that I'm a transgender uh, Native American who identifies as an eagle, and
Right.
my videos would probably
Identify with
get
the color purple. That'll really get you somewhere.
yeah, I mean, seriously, my videos would
The
get
weirder
boosted,
you are, the better.
overnight. Um,
Right.
but
Okay.
at the end of the day, like, I think that Elon Musk, he's a bit of an enigma because
Right.
anybody who goes on and literally says, when you need to lose a boner fast, and then shows a picture of Bill Gates
Yeah.
next to a
Oh, I
pregnant
agree.
man emoji,
Right. I
clearly
agree.
isn't part of the club. um
Right.
a-
Well, I
a-
have I have struggled with what this guy is about for years now, and I flip flop. Like I like him. I like that nerdy, geeky, goofy side, but at the same time, a lot of his ideas are, well, he's got us in a net of his 5G, and he controls that. I just see a lot of things that I'm so against that he
well,
does.
real quick, I want to answer chat. Elon Musk wants Twitter for AI and Neuralink. Now, interestingly enough, one of the first things that he's already done is, and I'll bring this up real quick, just so everybody can see it because I was thoroughly tickled by this. If that were the truth, then explain this tweet to me. Because a guy who's anti AI, and is warned that AI is going to destroy the planet and wants to get off the damn planet, wouldn't be tweeting this out. Very important to fix your Twitter feed. Tap the home button. Tap the stars in the upper right screen. Select latest tweets. You are being manipulated by the algorithm in ways you don't realize. Easy to switch back and forth to see the difference. And he's talking about your home feed, and you can actually, there's a new feature that's appeared since he did this. And you can click this and you can go, latest tweets show up as they happen, or go back to home, the old home where they, put in, see latest tweets instead. This just happened. So he hasn't even, fully taken over the company, and he's already making changes and warning people about this. And what I like to tell people is, if you don't know what he means by that, there's a great documentary. It's called The Social Dilemma. And it's on, probably still on Netflix. I mean, I know most of you, like myself, have already canceled Netflix, but The Social Dilemma literally has the people who invented Twitter, invented Facebook, that wrote the algorithms, that wrote the original AI, warning and going, you have no idea how we're able to control your brain just by the stuff you're seeing in your feed. So I see both sides of this. I do think that at the very least, Elon Musk is a disruptor. He has already disrupted so many things, and basically every company he's touched, he has made it better, more efficient, and all of that. Now, will he end up?
Get him to touch the Bumble hive, and maybe he'll make it go away. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. That's never gonna happen. But the good news about this is, because I want to leave people on a positive note with this whole Bumble hive thing. When the NSA is recording everything everybody's doing all the time, their biggest problem is what they call fuzzy logic. The idea that they have too much information. Mm-hmm. So in that sea of information that they're collecting, they really can't make useful products out of it. So now, for instance, if you actually go and then blow up a federal building, sorting through that and then going back after the fact and finding out every tweet you ever made, every phone call, every text, where you were, every traffic camera that facial, scanned you, after the fact, yeah, that's great. But being able to make predictions and protect us from actual terrorist events, or, I guess they say white supremacy is the new greatest threat. You hear this all the time. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? If that's true, then you show me one, group of white supremacists that's been locked up in the last 5 years for doing anything. So at the end of the day, the only people that are being caught lately are people that the FBI literally set up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they groomed them. They said, hey, here, we're going to help you make an explosive device. Meet us on this corner, and, we'll give it to you. And then they arrest the guy, and the whole thing was set up by the FBI. And then they're like, look how good we are at stopping terrorist, activity. It's a clown show. So at the end of the day, they're gonna record everything. And the problem is that it's growing at such an exponential rate, they can't actually do anything with it. So overwhelm the system with your free speech, and try to use as many platforms as possible. I hold out hope that he will make Twitter more transparent. He said he is going to open source the algorithm. For me, that's a big deal because I'm an open source guy myself. I will be looking at the GitHub and going through it and having arguments on Stack Overflow with all the other programmers about, this is shameful, that should be changed. And the thing is that he literally says he's going to fire everybody who's a manager that is not a programmer.
And that's awesome.
So I see big changes coming to Twitter. I am hopeful,
Do you
quietly
know if
hopeful.
he I'm sorry
Go ahead.
to interrupt you. Do you know if he reinstated or he put back people's accounts? If he put them back the way they were, or they just getting new accounts?
Well, I mean, he did just recently announce that he would unban and bring Trump back to the platform, which made, a whole lot of libs lose their minds. I mean, literally, there was a collective shriek across the planet. Um, so I don't know. I mean, what I've seen from a lot of top YouTube influencers who've been shadow banned, like myself, for a long time, is that they're seeing, exponential growth in their following on Twitter, and that could either be that there's been an easing of the algorithm, or the fact that people, see the potential to actually have free speech on Twitter, and they're coming back. So flood of individuals coming back to Twitter. That's why they're seeing so many more, uh, followers coming back. But yeah, I mean, Droid Ian right now saying my two accounts are still gone. Um,
Right.
I think that
Yeah,
the
that's what
whole
I'm saying.
the whole thing's not even supposed to be. Everybody wants it now, and I mean, right now, he's holding out because they basically lied about the number of actual fake accounts, bots that are on Twitter. So he's saying that, right now, me buying Twitter's on hold. He's could potentially drive the cost down like $3 or $4 billion, so you can get it cheaper. And I mean, some people out there will be like, "Oh, it's just a 3 or 4 billion." I'm like, I would save every billion I could. But regardless, the whole process, he won't actually own it for like the next year. Um, so this is something that's going to take time to evolve. And then once he's actually, taken full ownership of it, made it private, fired a whole lot of people, made the algorithm open source. If you actually see, the trending topics are real, they're legitimate trends, not just, like when Let's Go Brandon was trending, and then immediately the Twitter staff shut it down. It's just the most recent one that I can think of. Um, that's the problem, is that the trends on YouTube, the trends on Twitter, on Facebook, um, they have, and you can go to James O'Keefe's, Project Veritas, and see hundreds of whistleblowers who show internal documents from Facebook, from Twitter, from YouTube about, demotion, shadow banning, and all of this stuff, and curating of trends. So the trends aren't actually trends. They're what you want. They want you to believe are trends. And if something's trending they don't like, they shut it down immediately. So that's one of the biggest things for me is, if Elon gets in there and open sources all this code, then I will believe that this
Well,
is
I
really
have
happening.
always trusted what you say. I think you are such a super smart guy, and you just know so much. I've always trusted what you say, so I'm gonna hold out hope. I have been very hard on Musk on my timeline, so I'm gonna take a break, give him a minute, and I'm just gonna hope
Yeah, I
because
mean,
I do like the guy.
it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I mean, at the
Right.
end of the day, would you rather just have a very dire outlook on the world, or would you like to be hopeful? Because for me, I want to remain hopeful. Like if I weren't hopeful, um, then I would just quit doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Right.
I hope for the best. I expect the worst. That's always been my theme throughout my entire life. Hope for the best, expect the worst. That way you're not unprepared. But at the same time, if you're not hopeful, then, what kind of life is that? I mean, really. So a lot of people are very addicted to fear. fear porn is a thing. Unlike the porn bot that hit up the live stream, right? They did it last week too. I mean, I'm waiting for the caller trolls that just jump on and say the N word like 20 times. Or
Oh God.
I mean,
Yeah.
one time back in the day, I was doing a Google Hangout and somebody used a hack that was available. It was actually a bug in Hangouts itself, and they got on my live show, then kicked me from my own live show, and then started streaming porn on my channel.
Oh my God.
This is a true story. Um,
Oh God.
you know, big penis right there in the center of the screen, and I'm sitting here just, oh my God, this is
Oh.
too. But yeah, anyway.
I need to go to that.
I think
What was that?
I think crack.
Um,
I had one other person that wanted to call in, and then I'm going to need to wrap this up.
Sure.
I've been wanting to talk to you forever, and
Sure.
thank you so much for the dragon, and
Sure.
the little baby dragons too. I haven't showed those, but
Yeah.
I'm actually on the phone right now with Spray Can Ann, who sent me this beautiful dragon, which stays right here on my desk.
You're my dragon.
I was born in the year of the dragon. She made me this, and it's one of my most cherished possessions. So I really appreciate that, Ann. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. And finally, to be able to talk to you on the phone, that's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna call him. I'm trying so hard to sync up with your stream, so you'll hear me more.
You'll never catch me, okay? I am chaos embodied.
I know. You're
my
like with a schedule. Jim and a schedule is like Ann and a phone. It just doesn't work.
One day it's gonna happen. I swear to you, I will find a schedule and I will stick to it. But I am chaotic, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
All
like
right.
that's the purpose of building this studio outside my backyard. I've got a little shed. It's a partial trailer that was cut in half during Hurricane Hugo, and we're gutting it, rewiring it, putting up new walls, painting it, making it secure and soundproof and all that. Tons of work left to do to that. Once I have that, I will have a place that I can.
Down here.
Hmm?
You got to get Frank down here. Help you set it up.
Frank wants me to come up to New York, and I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm coming up to New York. New York is the antithesis of what I see as free. South Carolina, during the whole COVID thing, we were free. Like there were a lot of people still wearing masks, but you could still go into 90% of the stores and restaurants with no mask, and nobody would look at you sideways during the height of it. And my kids never missed a day of school. Of course, it's a Christian private school, but at the same time, they were open, right in the middle of 2020, September, all the way through the end of the school year, and never had a single COVID incident. Nobody was required to wear masks. There were temperature checks at the door, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We have to get Frank down here to the south.
I know. I keep pulling at him. I think that once he actually comes down to the South and realizes that he doesn't have to spend $2,000 a month on a place, and if he does spend $2,000 a month on a home, that he's living in a freaking mansion, a plantation home on 45 acres. People don't know how good they got it till they get here. And at the same time, I don't want like took the words out of my mouth, Joyce. We have too many Karens in California. I don't want all the Karens from California flocking to South Carolina and screwing up a good thing. So let's keep it a secret. Let's let them think we're dumb Higgs and make jokes about how we marry our cousins, and they could stay where they are, and everything will still be good.
Sounds good. All right, get to your next caller. Hi to you, hi to your wife and family, and to chat. And we'll talk soon.
Good talking to you, Ann.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 So, Crackweed, if you want to call in, do it real quick, because I need to wrap this thing up. Got some work to do. And at that work. It's called Call of Duty Warzone. I got to shoot some people, man. Rebirth Island, waiting on it. Me and my wife can get down. Last night we were playing Call of Duty, and I was in a quad, and so we decided that we were going to be extremely toxic. And what we did was, what had happened was, oh, okay, here we go. That's crack weed. Crack weed. Explain that. I mean, you put the weed in the crack or the crack in the weed?
I used to smoke so much weed that it began to feel like I was on crack. So I stopped smoking for like 6 or 8 months and just rolled with the name crack weed.
The same thing
But
happened to me. I smoked weed for like 20 years. And towards the end of it, of course, there was this part of my brain that goes, um, they're putting cocaine in this weed you're smoking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I just think when they made it legal, it was like a different experience. I was like, this isn't the like organic or what you should be consuming.
where are you at?
It just seemed way different. I live in Michigan, so I used to have had to get my medicinal marijuana card.
Yeah.
So I got it 2 different times. So for 4 years, I was getting dispensary, and then they finally made it recreational. So
Well,
I was
the
pretty
other
much
thing,
done with it.
most other people don't realize this is like, I lived in Arizona for a while, and I actually saw a guy who had like a U-Haul van. It was a Penske van anyway. And I was like, hey man, I want a quarter. And the dude literally went out to the back of this Penske van, rolled the back up, and there were bricks this wide, this thick, this long, and all the way to the ceiling. And I was like, bro, where's that going? He's like, New York. And I was like, do me a favor. There's this town in South Carolina called Sumter. And could you drive one of these vans to Sumter? Because the weed we get over there is shit. But regardless, a lot of people don't realize that, one of the other things is, when you have this, underground market and you're buying from all these shady individuals, especially when you're buying from cartels, they're literally crop dusting the entire thing with Roundup. So you're literally smoking Roundup. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they're using like DDT in a lot of cases. So most people never would even consider this. But yeah, I mean, you could be literally smoking DDT if you're getting homegrown, or, even at some of these dispensaries, I guarantee you it's still coming from cartels. And then they, have all these genetically modified strains. Anyway, that was totally off the subject. What do you want to call about, bro?
I'm gonna bring up quickly about like internet security and how like they were saying like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, like Google Chrome was hacked and they couldn't tell you what happened, but there was like updates for like Windows and it would fix it when like Google Edge built on the Chromium, which is Google Chrome.
Yeah, Microsoft
Firefox
Edge.
built on Chromium, so
Yeah.
almost like every browser has Chromium. So they're essentially every browser was like day one,
Yeah, zero
exploits
day.
where you could do remote code executions. And instead of having pop-ups, it would be pointers or like open invisible windows, execute like JavaScript, and you'd never know it. There'd be no notification, no way to block it. The only way would be the whitelist exactly what you want to go to. So like, say you go to the same 4 sites, so you'd like block every website, but you go whitelist YouTube, even though I don't really trust YouTube. I guarantee they're taking my info, my comments, like, but at least when I got on your stream, I said I was hacking my encrypted drive because I typed in the password one night and I went to bed, forgot when I woke up, but I made it. So the comment saying launch codes ? After I said hacking an encrypted drive, my internet went out twice. So the first time was right after I hit enter, and the second time was within 1 second, give or take, of
Mm-hmm.
it popping up on your screen of when it stopped buffering, and it showed me like more video. So it was like really, I don't know, intelligent how they're, censoring, cutting people in and out of the internet, and essentially censoring things. And then I asked in the chat, I didn't see you reply to it, but other people were saying like red flag. I was saying like, do you think these like mass shootings are more of like a fake news kind of thing, or if they're like MK Ultra, like what's really going on? Someone said both, and I think the same thing. There's a channel called Gematria Effect News,
Mm-hmm. I'm
and he's
familiar with them.
explained how like 9/11, for example, like our emergency dialing number is 911, and then on September 11th, so 911, how we write it in America, there's the big terrorist attack by the somehow orchestrated by a man in a cave. I don't know how he's getting access to these jet simulators, but maybe he's got gaming PCs in his cave that has Microsoft Flight Simulator. Who knows? But again,
Well,
it's just too coincidental. And then there's like Ruby Ridge and
yeah.
Oklahoma City bombing.
So
And
look,
just
just real quick, we're gonna kind of go backwards back to where you started. So, of course, there was this Chromium, what they're called as CVEs, or critical vulnerability and exploits. So you
EOC.
can see it up here on the screen. This is March 28th, 2022. CVE 2022 1096, Chromium vulnerability exploited in the wild. Um, and these CVEs are put out by, and I was trying to think of the name of the actual, uh, they don't have it anywhere here. But basically, these CVEs are put out by the, it's called CIST, I believe, the Critical Infrastructure Security Team or something like that. But these CVEs are put out as a way of, for the infosec world to rapidly adapt and change, their codes. They'll usually tell you in a CVE, and for some reason this one's buried, dude. Like I'm um trying to find it, and there literally no information on it. Like I went to
I
the
have
original
seen some
CVE, and you could
people.
see right here.
Some people say they need to be in like a developer branch. Like some people get beta branch, some
I
people
would
get the
never, I
default,
would
and then
never
there's like
do
a
that.
developer branch.
So what I did was I switched from, Chrome and or Edge to Brave browser. And Brave browser has a whole lot of other technologies built into it that are pretty cool. It's got the ability to browse Tor websites, other privacy, tools. Obviously, you'd want to run this with a VPN. So I don't know if you have one, if you use a free VPN or
Yeah, I'm
whatever.
actually running my own. I host my own server, and I'm running my own instance of Open VPN.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
So
I've also heard from the other people. I watch a few channels like you for what's really going on with the climate. You got me really looking up in the skies, and like uh, I can see passenger planes under, like, it looks at least 1,000 feet. I mean, they're way below these other jets that are jets way up or just dumping trails. And I have had videos in the past. I have some of them still, maybe. I deleted some of them from YouTube, but like they're, because my camera could zoom in like 60 to 90 times,
yeah,
and it was pretty good quality, so I could get the detail of like what size jet, how much like exhaust or whatever they're dumping, and it just would look unnatural in comparison to everything else
this is a
in the
good
skies.
website. I'm gonna drop it in chat for you. Globe.adsbexchange.com, and it's the most open source of the flight trackers that I've been able to find, because it also has them color coded by height. Which is pretty useful, because when you see planes flying at 40,000 feet in some of these cases, this flight right now is at 42,000 feet. That's in the stratosphere. The tropopause is right around 39,000 feet. So, they're literally dumping their chemicals into the stratosphere. So that's a big deal. Temperature wise, cloud production wise, what those clouds will do, what the weather effects are. But to deal with the problem you were talking about originally, I don't know if you've ever heard of this add-on, but there's a plugin called NoScript. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't heard of it, but it sounds like it disables JavaScript or
Right.
all the necessary.
I'm just going to fire it up real quick, and I'll just, okay, it wants to read and change all your websites, because that's what it's going to do. So I'm going to bring that up, make sure that I pin it. It's right here, and you can see this is a privilege page, but let's go here. Or actually, let's go to ClimateViewer 3D, because it'll break the hell out of it for sure. All right, so right now, if I hit F5 and I refresh, no joy, no nothing worked. But then I go to NoScript, and you can see stat counter is still on there. I'm gonna remove that because I've been removing it. But you can literally go trusted, temporary trusted, or blocked by default. Now it's gonna block all JavaScript by default. This will so that Chromium vulnerability that occurred, what could not occur because no scripts would be allowed to run at all. This is kind of a higher level, hacker friendly. You gotta know a little bit about what you're doing to be able to use no script. So this isn't for everybody.
Yeah, I just recently got into using Linux and hosting my own websites. I gotta make my own what are they SSL, the certificate authority, because right now I got just the HTTP, so it's like untrusted, don't join. But I mean my website's literally just an image. It's an HTML, empty bare bones with an image. So other than me tracking IP, it's just to see,
Yeah, I mean that's is coming. That's the only reason I put stat counter on there. And I mean, it gives minimal information. And of course, I don't share it with anybody. And I'm doing away with it because I've got raw server logs if I ever care enough to look and see how many people are coming to my website. I used to use it specifically for referral tracking so that I could see where people had posted about me. You know what I mean? Like, an example, like
book club that has a hatred for you.
Yeah, if it's haters, or if it's like the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization linked to my nuclear explosion map, and that's a worldwide, club basically. They're the ones who are tasked with enforcing the Limited Test Ban Treaty. They have all the sensors for nuclear explosions. And this is a highly cited club, and somebody had posted on their internal forum. So I couldn't actually get to the forum post. But the fact that I was getting like 42,000 hits per hour from the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization's website, pretty friggin' cool. You know what I mean? So that's useful to me. But anyway,
it'd be funnier to find out if they were trying to knock you offline and they just were incompetent.
Oh, they can't. I mean, I'm on Cloudflare, so I mean, basically Cloudflare. Yeah, I mean it's free. I'm on the free tier, and still it could handle 1 million hits per minute. And
you think it might have been an incompetent hit, but I mean, you do put out more like. I don't know. It's just such dense information. I mean, you got the globes, the 3D maps. I mean, I would not use really Google Street ever, but I do look at your stuff and I'm like, oh, there's that many, the the biological testing facilities, and I'm just like, well, at least Michigan says there's none. I mean, there probably is, because
Yeah.
my brother visits, because I think like his girlfriend, one of his relatives live up there. So every time he just explains, every time he's gone up to the Upper Peninsula, he says it's like weird the way people act and just how towns are, I guess, organized and how far in between you'll find people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be pretty easy to hide things in the Upper Peninsula, especially because it's kind of
Well, I mean,
hidden by
it's
the
it's
lake.
very simple to tell because you could just look at this. You turn on Earth at night, and I mean, you really don't need to see much else to just it sums it up very well. You got over here in the southeast, there's Atlanta and that huge dot, you know, and all of the smaller towns around it form one huge area. So these are street lights. And then you come over here to the west, and then you see that these street lights are pretty darn far apart. We're talking about this is 20 kilometers right here. So we're talking about 40 kilometers between this dot and that dot. So yeah, it just out here, there's not a lot of people, and you can see where the people are based on just the lights at night. So
I
East
just
Coast
like how
very
you
dense.
mentioned The Walking Dead for CDC, and
Hmm.
the Georgia Guidestone's out there too. And then,
Yeah, the CDC zombie apocalypse guide is hilarious. They have a
that's
zombie apocalypse website page on the CDC website. It's pretty funny to me. Um, but yeah,
That's
man.
always made me wonder of like, do I go west with the nuclear fallout, or do I stay east and fight it out with the zombies? Like, which one's gonna be worse?
I'm sticking with southeast because water, because nature, um, because plenty of things to shoot and eat. And I'm not talking about people, just to be clear. We actually had a deer
You know, I'm
lay
not
down
for
at
coming
next
at
to.
you with a gun. Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
not.
we
I'm
had.
a nice person too, and I'm good with guns. I used to play paintball. Like,
Well, everybody's a nice person until all of the stores are empty, and then you got to feed your family. And I'm not going to hold it against the individual that comes to my house trying to take my food, but I am going to make sure that they're not able to. So that's part of the whole and being prepared for any situation scenario. Um, that being said, yeah, the population is denser on the East Coast than the West, and the West does not have water already. And God forbid, the second shit hits the fan, all the weather modification projects on the West Coast that actually make the little bit of water they have possible, that's going to end. So you thought it was dry before, we're probably see a dust bowl almost instantaneously if all of that shut down. Um, but like I said, the whole dealing with online security, there are layers to the shit player tiramisu. Um, you gotta start at the most basic level and then work your way up of understanding. Just like a person who first comes into trying to understand geoengineering, you may understand some of the terminology, and then you're going to expand on that over time with your learning until you have all the finite details. All the players, all the technologies, how they work, who's funding what, and all of that sort of stuff. The same is true with cybersecurity. Everybody should, in today's world, understand, how to protect your privacy, how to protect, then about vulnerabilities, keeping things patched up, what makes your computer or your phone more vulnerable. Generally speaking, if you're talking about a mobile phone, there is no security. In fact, it's possibly the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. I would much rather have a brick phone that doesn't have any GPS or whatsoever. But it's either Google or Apple. You tell me someone in between, or Huawei,
oh, what
the
about
government of China.
Intel and AMD?
I mean, and then then you get the home based Intel or AMD. So at the end of the day, the only way for a future where we actually get out from this surveillance state is open source hardware. Somebody will make it one day, and we will have an open source processor, an open source motherboard. The thing is, 3D printing is expanding exponentially. Open source knowledge is growing exponentially. Linux is a thing. And the next step in that evolution, because every Android phone is Linux, for those who don't know, every Macintosh, Mac OS is now Linux. It's just got a GUI stuck on top of it. And Linux started out as an open source project. So in the future, I see a day where we have open source hardware that cannot be tinkered with by government regulators, the NSA, the CIA, or any of these individuals that want to ensure that we have systems that can be vulnerable. And we will come to
I can't remember the name, but there's someone on YouTube who, with breadboards, kind of builds like basic computers. And he does like the counters, he does all the registers.
Like BlackBerry Pi, with Raspberry Pi, I mean?
No, I mean, it's just bare bones as can be. It's, I think he uses like those TSOP chips or whatever those 8-pin programmable little 10-cent chips are. And then he kind of just wires it to a bunch of like a giant breadboard. And he explains how like the counter, because I used to program in C, C++, and then I moved to assembly, and then I became aware of like basically surveillance through software and the network, and then I came across like the hardware backdoors they have in like Intel chips.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people think that hyper-threading is, that that these virtual cores, which seem to just sit idle, that their whole job is just to basically be side channeling everything. And then other people started speculating that IP version 6, with its Teredo tunneling, that was another backdoor. I'm not gonna disclose how I'm able to secure Windows 10 and keep people out of it on air, because that would be just really, really dumb.
Yeah, then they'll start working at whatever you just explained.
Yeah, but needless to say, there have been a lot of people
that I just jumped ship and abandoned Windows. I was like, this is a shit show. Like,
but I have to. But I'm gonna play Call of Duty Warzone as soon as I hang up this show. I'm gonna go shoot people and play some video games and forget that anything bad's happening. And in between, I'm gonna put on some Tool or Pantera while I'm cutting the grass. Things that make me forget about all these issues. And so you can't really
That's what's pushed me down that tech world, though, is like, I'm not going to let them scare me away. I'm just going to keep researching and studying and practicing until, I can patch my own kernel, do something to spoof my GPS, or, just try to get as many fixes as I can. So I not only get the benefit of what I just paid for, like the hardware, I can also like, enjoy it, whatever, apps, if I can patch those too. Because it seems like the hardest thing is like the kernel software, the firmware.
Yeah. And I mean, depending on what kernel you're using, people can inject. Like, are you familiar with Metasploit?
I've heard of it. I don't know too much about.
This is one of those dirty little secrets. Here, I'll bring it up real quick before we get off. And
what I've been looking into is smash the stack, and it's like how to, I don't know, get the RAM to basically elevate you to root. But I just started looking at it, and right now what got me my internet set off twice, and then I could watch the rest of your stream, was I'm unencrypting my passworded hard drive, and then I said launch codes, because I thought someone else in chat said something along hacking. But for some reason, like as you're talking about, like NSA, it's like they knocked me offline. My dad always says like the router's dirty or dusty, but it's like one of us always has connection, the other one is always getting, like, knocked
Some
off.
dirt's not gonna happen. I mean, I did deal, with a computer just recently that was full of dirt to the point where the keyboard and mouse would not come on, or the monitor wouldn't come on, and he couldn't figure out why. But so Kali Linux, it's at kali.org. I'm gonna post this in chat just for the lulz. Watch YouTube rage. It's a Linux distro. By distro, it's a distribution. I'm trying to speak for all the people who aren't familiar with these terms. This is basically a Linux operating system that you can run from a flash drive, and you can put like I can take this flash drive I have right here, and this is a 256 gigabyte quad core. Is basically quad drive, so it's extremely fast, USB 3.0, and I can put Kali Linux on this thing. I can walk up to any computer on the planet, and I don't care what passwords you have on it, what protection you have on it. I can literally stick it in the drive, and as it's booting up, where the BIOS says, press F11 to go to boot options, I can hit boot from USB, and I can bring this tool up, which will then launch Kali Linux, which is the most advanced penetration testing distro. It's a Debian-based Linux distribution geared towards various information security tasks such as penetration testing, security research, computer forensics, and reverse engineering. It literally comes with every single tool you could ever want to hack anybody. Now, of course, it is designed and labeled as for security experts. And the idea behind penetration testing is that when I was working at the local tire shop who had 5 stores, and I had VPNs that connected all the stores, I would go to the local McDonald's and try to hack into my own company. And every time I would find a vulnerability or a way in, or somebody hadn't, something wasn't patched on one of the computers, which was leaking, DNS information, or something that was leaking NAT information that allowed me to then violate the firewall and get to the internal local area network and then install software onto the computer. I would do that from the McDonald's across the street. I tell them I'm taking a long lunch break and I'm doing some security testing, and I do it with Kali Linux. And on it has one tool that's called Metasploit, and Metasploit is just, it's pretty damn dirty if you really think about it, because this is what they mean. If you've ever heard the term script kiddie, that if you have, like, say, Java on your computer and you haven't updated that Java, you're running 1.8.7, but the current version is 1.8.15. Okay, just making numbers up. If that's true, that means that the last 8 updates to Java were for critical vulnerability exploits, CVEs, where, quote, a hacker could take full control remotely of your computer. Now, Metasploit actually has all of that malware. So that I
think I might have seen it then. That's where people just basically run up a script and it scans everything, and if something's not up to date, it'll see if there's
it's a vulnerability scanner. But here's the kicker. If you have Metasploit, now it says open source Metasploit framework, and then commercial support Metasploit Pro. Then there's Metasploit Enterprise. And Enterprise is for governments or big corporations. And it literally has every single piece of malware that's come out for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And you can sit there and you can find a computer. Example, I'm about to play some Call of Duty Warzone. Dude starts running his effing mouth. He starts telling me he's going to hack me and knock me off the internet. And I'm like, you don't know what a hacker is. You're no hacker. You better watch your freaking mouth. You're actually talking to one. And shit gets real.
I don't know any hacker who says they are a hacker.
No hacker would ever go and start out with, I'm a hacker or I'm a hack you. They just do it. Okay.
Kitty.
Yeah. So well, you get this a lot in first person shooter games. People are always talking shit. And so
I played Counter-Strike for 5,000 hours, and then I was
so you've heard it. You've heard the hacker talk. Anyway, so I tell them, I was like, if you're a hacker, then tell me what this means. I'm gonna VPN and SSH to my VPS and DDoS you off the internet. If you can name what one of those acronyms means, I'll believe you're a hacker. Not a single one ever has been able to go, you're going to virtual private network and then secure socket shell to your virtual private server to distributed denial of service me. I would be thoroughly shocked if even one, if somebody ever came back and was like, oh, VPN. And that's like that's a gimme. You know what I mean? VPN, then SSH to my VPS to DDoS you. All of these people don't know shit about the world of hacking. And when you get it, if you download Kali Linux and you really want to scare the shit out of yourself, download Kali Linux, then go on, just go to YouTube. I'm not going to name other places, more nefarious places that'll really teach you how to use it, but you can
go, my way from there. I do run a VPS and use OVPN. So
yeah. So I mean,
the moment you brought up Metasploit, I was like logging in and updating. I was like, okay,
yeah.
If anything's just slightly out of date, I'm kind of.
And the other one that I use is called Maltego, and this is also from there. And it's Maltego basically allows you to show.
Maltego was
no sounds. No, don't. No YouTube strikes. So Maltego allows me to like find people on the internet and then show relationally where they are. So like when I was getting harassed by a group of YouTubers, which I'm not going to bring up again, I was able to go and track down every single thing they'd ever posted on Google Plus, Facebook, every YouTube video they'd made, everything they'd done from the past, and then graph that out and show how it was related. And this is showing like a network map. So what would basically
searching common usernames and
well, seeing how that there's what's called metadata, but the other one that most people have never heard of is called link data. And what it does is show like referral tracking of how an individual has multiple accounts. So all of their sock puppets, all their little trolls, their fake accounts, social media intel, and you can do an entire case management with this. So I literally produced an entire case management file for the Sumter County Sheriff's Department, who then looked at me like, what are you, a fucking android? And they had no idea what to do with it. But with Kali Linux and the tools that are in it, you can do everything from scanning your neighbor's Wi-Fi and then brute forcing it till you finally, break their password, to doing injection exploit vulnerabilities, port scanning somebody, seeing that they have exploitable, software that has vulnerabilities they have not patched up. They're running an old hacked version of Windows 98. They got off the Pirate Bay and they don't realize that it's complete like an open door. And you could literally just destroy their system in a blink. And then, you get deeper into the pool with 0-day malware, where people, share and or sell ransomware as a service, software as a service, where you get these 0 day. I mean, some of these are literally selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And people will buy them because then they can use them to make a lot of money. Now, I could quit this YouTube thing right now and go from making less than $1,000 a month. I mean, honestly, to making $100,000 a month if I wanted to be a hacker. But I'd have to move to some island and run from the law the rest of my life. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to talk about it and try to teach people, the basics of protecting yourself.
So I was thinking to myself, it's probably not as big of a deal, except for I'm going to hate my life. But if I had kids, I'd be like, this wasn't worth it.
No, it's not worth
I
it.
respect you for that. And you actually did point out that the Montego or Metigo.
Yeah, Maltego. I'll drop that in chat too. So it was Maltego and the other one was Metasploit. But those are the two major toys that I have used in the past from Kali Linux to do things that we're not going to talk about live on the air.
Was for that. That's why I never really looked into it. I just saw Arch Linux had its own like unique package manager, and then I was
there's other ones. There's other ones like Black Buntu, and I mean, there's different kinds of security. I mean, even the US CERT team. That's the name. I couldn't think of it this entire time. The US CERT team. So let me put that in real quick. US CERT. And it's CISA. It's CISA. This is where the CVEs come from. I finally remembered it. Thank you very much. But anyway, so protecting against cyber threats to managed service providers. I'm bringing it up on chat on screen, and you can see right here, CISA temporarily removed CVE 2022 from known exploited vulnerability catalog. I just told you that CVE is gone. It's like literally right here. But they actually go in, they release all of these CVEs. Google releases security updates for Chrome. Microsoft releases Maya security updates. And that's obviously for the, all the things. Page not found. They're failing on their own web. View current activities. Page not found. Wonderful. Report vulnerabilities, report malware, phishing incidents. So the U.S. CERT is the Security, Cyber and Infrastructure Security Systems Agency, CISA. And they give out, basically all of the different reports to everybody to go patch your shit because you're vulnerable.
I guess I have a few more tools or things to look at before I try to.
So what I was going to say is there's actually a U.S. CERT.
I didn't know how deep you were in the game. I knew you said you were a hacker, but like you understand the climate, and then and computers. Most people don't talk about both. I mean, I don't know. All the hackers or people explaining programming are always just about the code or exploits, and they never,
Yeah, but then
they're honest about like how corrupt the government is, like how bad, like.
But they're kind of missing the whole point because I mean, for most people, it's so. I wonder if they even have it in this list. Kodachi, Cubes, Scepter, Tails. What is Unix? Unix is violated. What is this? Best limit for privacy and security. That's not it. It's a US CERT penetration testing. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up now, honey. My wife just gave me the look.
I don't think those are real answers.
Yes, ma'am. So the US CERT team actually put out their own penetration testing kit, and it's right here on CISA.gov penetration testing. And I seriously doubt it's still around. I still have the ISO file for it. So you can run it in VMware or whatever. But you can see like, the different ones. Number one is Kali Linux to this day. Backbox Linux, Parrot Security OS, Black Arch, Bug Track, Deft Linux, Samurai Web Testing Framework. I had that one as well. Pin2, Kane, Network Security Toolkit.
So
Boy, that
have
was
you
a
heard of
real
Smash?
inventive name there.
I might have forgot.
Arch Strike.
Smash the Stack. You type in Smash the Stack.
I know what you're talking about. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna bring that
War
up.
game.
I'm not gonna bring that up. I know what you're talking about.
That's what I was looking into. So I guess it was like trying to do the exploits myself, but not knowing like Metasploit pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
way.
getting into deconstructing an exe and then finding offsets and doing direct injection, buffer overflow attacks, all that sort of stuff. I rarely talk about this stuff. I'm glad that you brought it up. I mean, this is why I wanted to do the Sunday chat, is because how else am I going to get into conversations about stuff that go to this level? Because I normally would just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Like, I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm very proud of, but I don't talk about very often on here because I'm a jack of all trades, a master of one, and it seems like the world wants me to go and talk about geoengineering and weather modification because it's what I know the most about, that is most important for my kids' sake. Now, of course, pollution, privacy, and propaganda. Privacy is a big one. And that's where, understanding how the technology works and protecting yourself is important. So everybody should have a little hacker in them, or at least be curious about it. Understand how they work. Understand how the technology works, because you're using it. And if you don't know how to use the tools, somebody's going to use the tools against you.
Yeah, I've noticed personally if I try to, because only recently I've realized that like using Tor relays are probably like the best VPN, but there are federal agents that run them to try to.
Yep, the entrance and exit nodes are owned. So even if you get onto Tor, if you're not on a strong VPN, an open VPN is good. And you're using a free one, OpenVPN?
I own a VPS or rent one out monthly, and so I set it up myself.
So you're doing a SSH to your VPS and then running VPN from there?
It set a passphrase, the SSH keys, authentications are not passwords. Only rely on the key.
Okay, so now 99% of people are not going to be able to do that. So I would just reiterate for everybody else, the first step you could take, go over to connect.climateviewer.com. Down at the very bottom of the page, you can see ExpressVPN. I trust them more than anybody else. As a paid service, there are ways to get free ones. Most free ones are going to track you. Unless you are a higher level programmer or understand, and like 99% of you are not, you need to actually go with one that's paid. And I've tried them all. ExpressVPN's the best one by far. They have a no log policy. You get 3 extra months free if you use my code. So expressvpn.com/climateviewer. Link is at the bottom of connect.climateviewer.com. If you're on mobile, it's going to look like, God, good. Really? It'll look like that. And you can just click that, and my email is there to send any more tips over. But yeah, get a VPN. Use Brave browser, because out of the box, when you download Brave, it comes with AdBlock Plus already built in. And HTTPS everywhere. It's already built in. So that
you won't be able to look at my site.
I mean, that's pretty great, that it's already there.
My site's just kind of like trolly. I don't know if you'd want to even It's
I'll
just
bring
like
it
a
up. What is
picture
it?
of, like, it's poopcat.net. Yeah, it's another
Poopcat.net.
funny name. Yeah. It redirects you to my IP.
Guy la douche. What you got on this thing? You got a peek. You got a header redirect on time.
I think I did it to the domain name, whatever site. They're like $1 for a year.
Okay, I see your frame source here. Poop.net.
But that's not even like the source. I don't know why it changes when it's pushed to the web. But obviously, I have more to do, but I'm always distracted because I just learned how to do Linux by hand. Like
the other thing that people want to be able to do is, in addition to having a good VPN, I use PCmatic, and it comes with a browser plugin up here as well, and it's going to block all kinds of scripts and everything, and it's definitely not going to allow anything to run inside my computer. So everything's already blocked. Plus, I've got no script up here, so I actually have to like turn this on and hit trusted, and then refresh the page for your code to even run if it were to run. There's that too. You know what I mean? So there's different levels.
Or I haven't looked at my source in a minute.
Yeah, I'm looking at your source right here. Bring it out. Head
Like
script, PC pit stop. So that's my. Let me fold that up. Hold up.
Mine's basically just the most bare framework, and then I don't know. It slightly changed it.
Well, it's just got an iframe.
I see you're saying like Java login. Is that because you're?
You just got an iframe that's going to here, and then that is just got an image on it. That's all I'm seeing. Update your website, Poopcat.
Hit me offline. There's my IP. You don't even gotta ping me.
You need a keck, Poopcat. Anyway, it was good talking with you, Mr. Crackweed.
Yeah, it was good to hear from you. I'm surprised you didn't there's no way he's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool seeing the other side of Jim Lee, because my middle name's Lee. I don't know if that's your last name, but
that's my last name, James Franklin Lee Jr. Named after a whole bunch of dead white guys.
Like the money's named after.
Yeah, Ben Franklin, Robert E. Lee, Richard Henry Lee signed the Declaration of Independence. That's my lineage. Richard Henry Lee, Declaration of Independence. William Lighthorse Harry Lee, general in the Army Revolutionary times.
Troy D. Ian's doing the
Robert E. Lee, and then on my mom's side, I'm Native American, so I'm like in an internal struggle against myself. But anyway, yeah, that's my real name.
That's the same with my mom on Cherokee. So
I don't want to pay for a VPN either, Bill. But desperate times. Oh, look, our porn bot is back. They found their way. Naked.hd is back. Oh God, these people, man.
You have to see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it shows up on mine before he's here. Here comes the spawn, the spams.
The sperm.
Hide user from channel. Anyway, it was good talking with you, man. Let me wrap this up.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
yep. There they go. I've already deleted it.
They got emojis. It's too graphic. I gotta go.
It's just ridiculous.
Cool talking to you.
Cool talking to you too, man.
Rest of your day, man.
All right, man. You too. Appreciate it, bro.
Enjoy that Warzone.
You know it, man. We're gonna get some dubs. Well, guys, and thus ends another Sunday chat. We're at 2 hours and 4 minutes, so I believe that's all a wife can take when her husband doesn't have a studio in the backyard and can just basically run his mouth ad nauseum. So thank you all for tuning in. I had fun. I always have fun when I have conversations. It's a hell of a lot more fun than just, sitting here and somebody fill the chat up with something and get rid of the porn bots. Make them go away. I've already reported them and deleted them, but it still says message was deleted. Thank you, Pyromania, for being a good mod. Otherwise, I gotta keep up with all this crap myself. We need more mods for bots. But yeah, it's a Sunday fun day, and the kids are away. So the parents will play. And I hope that you guys will tune in Tuesdays, Thursdays, Tuesday News Days, Throwback Thursdays for the weather modification history. We'll do this again next Sunday. Have a chat. And the sooner I get my studio together, the sooner I'll be able to make more content. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you're watching this later on Rumble, BitChute, or Odyssey, on one of my alternative channels, subscribe there and then come over to YouTube, hold your nose, hit that subscribe button and bounce. It'd be greatly appreciated. Update on YouTube. They have now updated their algorithm to where comments are not weighed as highly as shares. So now more than ever, sharing is caring. And we do want to screw with the YouTube algorithm as much as possible. So please share this in the weirdest and most wonderful ways, and all the weird places that I would never think to go. That's the best way to grow the channel, help me help my family, and help you all same time. We're all helping each other. So please support my channel. You can do that monthly on Patreon or give a one-time donation on PayPal. That money right now is going directly to building the studio and putting cool things in it. It's going to be pretty freaking epic. And I really look forward to continuing to do this for a long time to come. My health is improving. My knowledge is growing. And so is my audience. So thank you all for subscribing. Thank you everybody who supported me. And thank you for sharing the video. Please use this information, which was kind of creepy today because I never get to talk about hacking. Use this information, especially if you do go and download Kali Linux, to attack ideas, not people. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.